Hello Skillr fans, and today we are taking a look at someone who really embodies the sweet in the sweet science of boxing. Displaying slick movements and effortless punches, we will dissect what makes him such a smooth boxer and the exact techniques behind it. Jaron "Boots" Ennis is perhaps one of the most electrifying talents in the sport today. And what really separates him from the rest of his opponents is his myriad of flashy techniques and movements.
Speed of Jaron Ennis, total punches landed.
But before we start the breakdown, we wanted to introduce you to our sponsor, Pro Boxing, a powerful training program designed for coaches, trainers and their students. This new all-in-one platform helps learners develop into advanced fighters faster. Download Pro Boxing today and dominate the opposition. Save 15% with the link below. But now, let's take a look at how he fights, step by step, starting with his boxing stance. Boxing stance. Jaron uses a very wide stance most of the time. As you can see, he likes to keep his feet more separate than the usual boxing stance.
He's so deliberate off the jab. I love his jab itself.
Now the drawback is it slightly hinders the bounce of your footwork and makes you more of a stationary target. The advantage, on the other hand, is that a wide stance gives you better control when shifting your body, as it allows you to keep your feet planted much more to the ground, which also gives you better balance.
Punching with his right hand. Maybe you're not as aggressive as you want to be.
Now, you can utilize this better center of balance in two ways. To create faster torque in your punches, which will generate more power.
Attack the body to slow down the forward.
Or to use that newfound balance to shift around your body and head to dodge incoming punches.
Body work tonight. He always picks something out.
Ennis likes to utilize these advantages, and we will see exactly how later in the video. However, despite the wider stance, Ennis is far from being a flat-footed fighter. He will intelligently adopt a more narrow stance, especially when he wants to move around the ring more.
And using head movement, this under.
He does not keep his feet exclusively wide and will change depending on what the fight demands from him. Another interesting thing about Ennis' stance is his ability to seamlessly transition between Southpaw and Orthodox.
I'm comfortable on both sides. It's natural for me. I don't know when I switch, so this is everything all natural.
Not only during the middle of his combinations, but also as he is moving around the ring, constantly giving his opponent different looks to worry about.
I love his jab. It's a flicky jab, but
Skills. Versatile defense. Now, as Ennis likes to fight off both stances, it changes the way he will use his guard depending at which stance he is in. Now, unlike the high guard, which is similar regardless of whether you're Southpaw or Orthodox, the game changes with the Philly Shell. There are really big differences when using the Philly Shell depending on the stance you're in or the stance your opponent is in. Orthodox Philly Shell. Now, since the majority of boxers fight from an orthodox stance, Jaron will sometimes meet them with the same stance. If both the stances are the same, that means Ennis can use the Philly Shell in a traditional way, using your shoulder to parry the rear hand and using the rear hand to block and catch the lead punches of the opponent. All of this fighting from a more bladed stance. In this traditional method, the lead arm is used to pretty much block out the entire bottom half of your body, while the rear arm is used to block the upper half, keeping your chin tucked beneath your shoulder and behind your rear hand as well. If the opponent tries to throw hard to the head with their rear hand, then Jaron will utilize the shoulder roll.
And the speed of Jaron Ennis.
As the opponent punches him, he will roll with it, almost as if he is absorbing their own kinetic energy, and then he will redistribute that force given to him back to the opponent with a quick counter. Southpaw Philly Shell. However, the mechanics of the Philly Shell change when Ennis uses the Southpaw stance. Now, unlike the orthodox stance, the Southpaw stance is more rare to come across, so he usually uses it against the opposite stance. In the rare cases you have Southpaw against Southpaw, the mechanics are the same as orthodox against orthodox.
Ennis picking up the base, hook to the body. Ennis picking up the base, the right hook to the body, maintaining.
Now, when facing the opposite stance, instead of using the shoulder roll for the rear, he will use his rear arm now to block the rear punches. This time, he will use the shoulder roll, especially when the opponent throws their lead hook.
There's the vignettes getting on the
Backing up with vignettes. Ennis with a big round here in the third. He will unload and make you pay deep.
Now, the biggest issue when using the Philly Shell against the rear hand, as those are power punches, they are much more difficult to defend with a catch or a block.
punches. He wants to go at it. He just got him in a big uppercut.
This is also why you will rarely see Floyd utilise his Philly Shell when facing an opponent with an opposite stance. Instead, he will utilise a more traditional guard. If Ennis anticipates the opponent throwing wide, then he'll bring his rear hand to the side of his head. If he anticipates them throwing a straight right down the middle, then he will bring his rear hand to the centre of his face. You will also see him often fight with his hands low. While risky for obvious reasons, he usually uses it when he is confident and in control of the fight. It gives him a better sense of balance and a broader vision to be able to read every reaction. Combining it with a wide stance, he is able to pull off great sequences of head movement.
Put George Sosa in there with him to test him out.
He often baits them into throwing to his head, as it looks like an open target. Ennis is already anticipating the shot and is able to evade it. He doesn't just move his head, but he will also pivot and angle out, not giving them a chance to continue with a longer combination.
Yeah, only 3 connects to the body. You see him over punching with his right hand.
And a combination to the head and it's starting to open up. How about that nifty move?
But one of his most impressive skills is his elusiveness also to the body. When a boxer is really elusive, you will often hear trainers advise working the body, as it is a more static target.
You want to go to the body as much as possible.
Body, 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 boot. Body, body, boot.
Oftentimes, body attacks are just blocked or parried. But Ennis has been seen repeatedly evading body shots by slightly bending his body backwards. While moving out the way and making the opponent miss.
Ennis warned both of you twice. Can't he blew it, cover up the body, then you... There's a left hook to the body by Lippin.
He also has a great sense of ring generalship and will often use lateral steps to get away from the ropes or corner of the ring. He will strategically use his lateral footwork right after the opponent misses a big punch. After the opponent misses a big punch, for a brief moment there is a window for Ennis to use his lateral movement to get away from the ropes as the opponent is getting back to position. Another great aspect of his defensive game is his ability to redirect his opponents when he is with his back against the ropes. Turning their momentum in his favour to switch positions. That is mainly due to his dominant lead hand. When you see Jaron Ennis fights, it is evident the importance of the lead hand on his style, as he uses it for different purposes, especially to dominate the opponent offensively.
His dad is old,
Much so.
I permanently became a welterweight following 140-pound.
He will often start the round by throwing a high volume of jabs, not focusing as much on landing it, but putting it out there.
Yeah, we've seen that drop opponents.
He's a good way Ennis keeps us to
Find a place to hide.
He uses it as a rangefinder to determine whether to unload the rear hand or not. When he is not able to land the jab, he refrains from committing to a power punch with the rear hand. As they say, if you can't land the jab, forget about landing the right hand. Once he starts to land those jabs,
In his career,
Clayton took that fight.
he then commits with his rear hand and starts to progressively move to longer combinations.
eats, breathes, and licks a metronome. I mean, it's just bam, bam, the timing perfect, and now there's a
He also has a great jab to the body.
To the midsection. One thing might produce scheduled for 12 upstairs by Lippin 6. Connect percentage.
An underrated punch many technicians such as Andre Ward and Floyd Mayweather like to use to slowly break down their opponent.
And one punch that I stole from Floyd Mayweather that he originated was the jab to the stomach. Guys are not ready for the jab to the stomach. I can look a guy right here, boom, hit him in the stomach.
Often stepping in with the jab to break the distance between them and add more power.
early on. Supposed to 7 jab battle of the jab as well.
Busy, and there's no plan. I do it when it feels right.
Adding to other defensive techniques like probing and posting. He cleverly uses the lead hand offensively, often pinning his opponents to keep them in place before unloading power punches from the outside. When on the inside, he uses subtle framing techniques wherein he keeps his lead arm out to control the head and the guard of the opponent.
Yes, there's a left, right in the face of Lipinets. A right hook, a left, right in the face of Lipinets.
Gone periodically to the body.
He also likes to use some inside fighting techniques, such as the shoulder bump to create space and distance with his opponent, especially from his Philly Shell stance. Underrated aggression. Even though he has the ability to put combinations together, Ennis is used to fighting in single power punches.
They're all good fighters.
He doesn't waste time with touch type punches to set up bigger punches, but instead has a more direct approach, constantly choosing and picking his shot as he goes.
To put a dent in that.
We liked a lot of what we
Has already switched to left.
jab of Jaron Ennis. Eats, breathes, successful as he is thus far, but how he's done it.
Right hand.
They need to change the plan.
This goes back to his stance and personal approach to boxing in general. Since he likes to fight off from a wider stance, this allows him to create even more torque and generate even more powerful punches. Contrary to other boxers, Ennis prefers selection and power over volume.
A lot of leather chucking and this. Ennis with a right hand, but Ennis takes it.
He's very strategic with his footwork too.
If he's coming forward, just pivoting and turning, use my angles up and down with the jab, touching that body, breaking him down slow, and staying slick and sharp.
Looking for a safe position to punch from, often shifting and landing his punches from different angles.
Kill him. Kill him.
He's also great at exploiting the body and finding openings on his opponent's guards when punching to the body. Again, thanks to his polished footwork, he's also able to break distances using lunging attacks such as the leaping lead hook, also known as the gazelle punch.
Legs of Russia, and
he's got to be active. He's got to throw.
Another example of his creativity and flashiness in the ring, and perhaps the most unique punch in his arsenal, is his bolo punch. Originally coming from Filipino boxing and being more popularised by the likes of Severino Garcia and Sugar Ray Leonard, it's essentially an uppercut that starts up higher on top and then thrown in a circular motion going downwards until it makes its way back up again. This long wind-up as Jaron brings his hands up serves as a feint to catch the opponent off guard, which will then give him an opening.
Still more than a minute to go, a jab and a right hand, the left.
Counterpunching. Ennis can carefully combine his offense with his defense, as well as with the use of counters.
Quickly as a right
hand and down.
One of his go-to punches is his check hook. He will counter the opponent's forward momentum by throwing a hook while simultaneously pivoting away from their line of attack so the opponent can't catch him with anything else.
I agree, the speed factor.
A technique that often reminds us of the Mayweather-Ricky Hatton fight.
Mayweather. Hatton sticking to his test but gets Mayweather. Hatton sticking to his test but gets.
Other times, he won't bother pivoting away and simply throws his hook over the opponent's lead hand as they punch.
Yeah, Kukajan has never
won in 11K.
He also resorts to his footwork as a means of counter-attacking, carefully baiting the opponent to step forward onto him, and as they do, he uses a simple step back before countering.
Up the base.
But now that we've seen his best skills, let's take a look at his flaws. Flaws. Even though he's more than capable on the inside, he has shown to have some issues at times. If he is not able to successfully push the opponent away or wrestle himself out from the positions, he becomes quite inactive.
There's a lapse off of the clock here in the fifth. But
while his single power punches are fast and accurate, they can be readable at times. He has shown to fight with the same rhythm, telegraphing some of his punches.
Where do you have to improve?
Just, staying more relaxed.
What do you mean by relaxed? Are you nervous?
No, not nervous, just not nervous. Just when I hit somebody, I get a little excited sometimes.
Okay.
When faced with a guy who possessed really good lateral footwork, he had a hard time landing his shots, which was what happened when he fought Karen Chokadzian. While his footwork is excellent when boxing backward, he had a hard time cutting off the ring and getting Karen to stay in one place. But despite these flaws we may have seen, Ennis still dominated that fight and has dominated all the fights he has had to date. But it will be interesting to see as he steps up in competition just how good he really can be. But now we would love to know your opinion on the comments. Do you see any other skills or flaws in Jaron Ennis? Let us know, and if you like this video, you can find more on our channel. And to your left, we have chosen a video that we thought you may like.